Thank you, Ambassador Almada, for taking the time to share your precious time with us. And we are here to hear your views how Mexico can be a benchmark for our global citizen. So please kindly help us understand what characteristics of Mexico.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for this so positive initiative, Sonia. Mexico is a diverse country with 127 inhabitants, roughly the same population as Japan. It's a relatively homogeneous country. 80%, 90% of the country is mixed blood, and 5 to 10% is of Indian origin, the native people of the country before the Spaniards came to Mexico in the 16th century. I have a view on how Mexicans are, their values. I think Mexicans are, first of all, hardworking. They are resilient. They are traditions and nation lovers, and family-oriented, and marry people at the same time.
Coming from California, I understand quite a bit of that.
Yes, our people work very hard to, most of them, of course, we have indeed some exceptions as in any other country, but our people work very hard. And at the same time, they are happy and merry people. They like their festivals, they like to honor their parents or their children birthdays. They are like most people in the world, I think. But at the same time, they are resilient. And nationally and collectively and individually, I think Mexicans have proven that many times in the past.
And where does this strong ability to be so strong in their mind, to be resilient, to be able to overcome any diversity, where does that come from?
It's an all culture. It's an all culture. 40 centuries of culture in the country. Mexico is, as other nations in the world, a mother civilization like India or China or Egypt. It's a civilization that was born and developed isolated from the rest of the world in the highlands, the highlands of Mexico, in the high plateau. And a series of civilizations and cultures developed there for millennia, I think, based on corn, just as the Mesopotamian civilization was based on wheat, or the Asian civilizations have been based on rice. Yes, corn is our staple. And we were colonized by the Spaniards, and the Spaniards themselves are a very mixed blood country, nation, Jewish, Arab, Iberic, Visigoths, Romans, of course, Phoenicians, and probably it is this millennia, many centuries of different influences that have modeled the Mexican character. We are, Octavio Paz, our famous Nobel laureate, said that we are people from the West, but specifically Latin American and Mexican.
And so that's how the history, because the history has so many mix and has brought it to be so resilient. That's what.
Probably, and we have had a turmoil in our history, some foreign conflicts, some internal struggle too, We are part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, so there is some seismic activity too, hurricanes, and we have survived to all of it.
So immigration from Europe and the natural challenges.
That's what Mexico is. Immigration from first Spain, later Portugal, and of course during the centuries immigration from many other countries. Germany, United Kingdom, the United States, Japan, China, Lebanese,
Yes.
Lebanese people, Middle East, and of course there is also an influence from the African descendants in our tropical south, like in Cuba or in Colombia or Venezuela. This Afro-American influence is also has also its place. We are a culture which is the result of the combination of many cultures, and we're very proud of it.
And so this sense of resilience, of being such a strong Mexican character from the historical perspective, but how do you see it also in today's context?
For instance, after 1985 big earthquake, which was one of the biggest earthquakes in recent times, the city was rebuilt again. We have had a serious economic crisis, and we have reoriented our economic policies. We have, as I have told you, hurricanes every year, several of them, and we go on again. And if you look to the way people behave when they suffer something tragic in their lives, probably this resilience combined with being hardworking and at the same time being merry, optimistic, not depressed, probably that combination
That's a good point.
Yes, makes that they go on with their lives and they do not stay arms laid down. Yes.
So they don't feel beaten up by strong challenges that they face, but because they are merry-spirited, they just pick up and start moving again.
Exactly. Hardworking and spontaneous, and they can find solutions where
Spontaneous, yes.
Spontaneous. Spontaneity. We are not that good planners as other nations are. For instance, our Japanese friends, I admire the way they plan very carefully. They take care of procedures on a very meticulous way. We are probably more spontaneous and innovative. It has some advantages too, because when we face a difficult situation, quite often we find unexpected solutions.
And how does today's youth see those characteristics?
I'm sorry?
Because our whole objective for benchmarking is how do we lead the youth or the next generations, right? How does Mexican youth see these characteristics in them as a national pride or their own who they are? Do they perceive Mexico the same way? Is the same sense of resilience and exuberance is still prevalent in coming youth?
Yes, I think it is. Of course, coming youth is more global in many respects. But I have great confidence in the way they are. For instance, the fact that we have so many engineers in our universities, more than the world average, more than the United States, taking into account the relative size of the population, shows from my point of view that Mexican youngsters are willing to find new paths in their lives for a decent job, etc. And I think that we have been positively influenced by foreign investment, for instance, and other cultures. I will take the example of Japanese investment in Mexico. We will have this year more than 1,000 Japanese companies established in Mexico, and the cultural influence is being very good, since the labor culture of the Japanese companies have a good impact in our young people working there. But at the same time, I think little by little that the Japanese management appreciates more and more the spontaneity and this ability, this skill to find solutions, let's say, beyond the manual.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's how this characteristic of being resilient and spontaneous person allows you to find solutions. So that has given a good way for Mexico to impact this economy and move forward, you would say.
Correct, Sonia. Correct. At the same time, of course, I am totally aware that resilience and spontaneity and a merry mind are not enough. You have to have a very good training, you have to have discipline, you have to have loyalty to your nation, community, company, and above all, you have to have good civic values. Good civic values. And if that's why we look so much for economic development, and Mexico is having some success, or even a clear success,
Yes.
in becoming a manufacturing center, and it is because this combination of values, traditional values like those that we have discussed, together with a more innovative approach, a more articulate way of doing things within the framework of a company and within the framework of global competition, from my point of view, gives this combination good results.
So from the identity of the nation being resilient, spontaneity, happy-go-lucky,
And hardworking.
and hard work.
Hardworking. I could say hardworking before anything else. Yes, they
So
are.
resilience is, you can only be resilient if you can work hard.
Absolutely. If you lay your arms down, if you feel that this is the end of the world, even in very tragic circumstances, you are done. You are done. First of all, you have to work hard.
Yeah.
And our people are amazingly hardworking people.
And how do you think other nations, if this is part of our benchmark for global citizen, how do you think other nations can build such values into their citizens?
Well, we have not, of course, the intention of giving lessons to anybody. Values are the result of a given culture. All I can say, Sonia, is that we are very proud of being Mexicans. We are proud of our culture. We are proud of our pre-Columbian archaeological sites. We are proud of our colonial cities. We have 37 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Mexico. We are proud of our gastronomy, but we are anti-nothing. We are not xenophobic.
Okay.
We are inclusive. We are not nothing. I mean, we have no foes in the world at all. On the contrary, the Mexican community that has emigrated to countries like the United States is a very good and very positive community in that nation, which helps a lot to the progress of the United States.
Oh, I mean, I'm from California, so for us, there's no separation. It's
Yes.
what?
Yes, I know. And when I was very young, just more than a kid, I learned in California, precisely in California, how our immigrants behaved. Most of them fighting bravely for earning a decent salary, helping their families in their hometowns and their villages, and trying to be better. And the descendants of those immigrants are now engineers, doctors, and they are climbing the American society in a very, very positive manner.
Yeah. And I can tell you from my personal experiences too, the Mexicans that I get to interact with in California, I have a deep trust and loyalties with them. They even have key to my house to the point. And what I've also noticed is the family values are very strong.
Very strong. Yes, you are so right. I think I should have stressed more these family values in the Mexicans, because, Sonia, the most important thing for a Mexican is his or her family. Children, grandchildren, parents, brothers, and they are ready to do anything for them to be well. We would never let alone an old father or mother, never. I mean, I think that is very important, and probably that's the source of resilience and hardworking.
But so what government or the society does to keep these values continuing in today's society for Mexico?
Well, I think the role of the education system is very important. Civic culture is very important, how you behave on the street, how you behave as a citizen, and of course the role of family, the role of churches, the role of the media should be encouraged. I have a positive thinking. You know, I do not believe that we live in an iron age vis-a-vis a golden age of the past where everything was perfect and traditions were kept, etc. I think since Plato in Greece, this idea of iron age and golden age is completely outdated, if not reactionary. We are a change in society, globally, nationally, regionally, and we have to keep faith in our children and our grandchildren. And I think we have to teach them by example. It is not important at all what we say. The only thing that is important is what we do. And it is true in every aspect of life.
So going back to the point, how is this being kept?
Well, I think the guardian of these values, the real guardian from my point of view, is the family itself. Family itself. Within the family. Fathers, mothers. It is very hard when you have different kinds of families, like mothers bringing up alone, educated alone, and taking care of a child without a husband, or the opposite, or same-sex marriages. But I think Mexican families are united, are solid, and I think they are the guardians of these values.
But sometimes the families don't have the infrastructure to do that. How we as a community can carry on teaching those values?
We have to insist, and we have to help above everything else. We have to help those families who have difficulties because of extreme poverty, for instance, or different kinds of families. I am, as anybody else, very worried about the travail of a single mother, for instance. That is difficult. So we need systems, public systems, to help them to take care of the children. Daycare facilities, for instance, are a very good response to that. And I think we all have to work on that direction. What I would like to convey as a main message is that there is no contradiction in terms that cannot be solved in real life. For instance, you can be a married person and a very responsible one. And if you are at the same time hardworking and married, that's twice better. If you can be resilient and married, that's twice better. If you can be party goer and family responsible, that is even better. If you can be economically successful and at the same time you take care of the environment, that's better. If you respect the others and love your nation and do not hate or despise other cultures and nations, it's better. You can reconcile tradition and innovation, for instance. That's the main lesson of Japan.
Yeah.
Yes, you can reconcile spontaneity and procedures. You can reconcile sense of responsibility and having very good time.
We have evolved as communities, as people, so it's easier for us to comprehend and reconcile. That's the message you're sharing.
Yes, to reconcile values that are only apparently excluding themselves. We can be more comprehensive, more complete as human beings if we reconcile and those values, and if we learn from other nations, cultures, and just people.
Great. So the word, a phrase to conclude Mexico, to me is hardworking who knows how to have fun.
Yes, probably. To work hard and to have fun. Yes, probably. It's not very new, very innovative as a phrase. Yes, but...
and how would you say it?
Work hard, stay strong, be merry.
So this is Mexico.